So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well,
yo, real talk. The CIA has been reading your texts, listening to your calls, and building files on regular American citizens. Not foreign enemies, not terrorists. You. And the wild part? Most people just shrug it off like it's normal. Like, yeah, of course the government spies on us. What else is new? But hold on, bro. We need to slow down and actually think about how crazy that is. See, this isn't some new thing that started with one president or one administration. This has been going on for decades. You got Ed Snowden, who literally risked his entire life, fled the country, can't come home, just to tell us the truth about what the NSA was doing. And what happened? People were shocked for like 2 weeks and then went right back to posting on Instagram. Julian Assange, locked up, threatened, destroyed, all for pulling back the curtain. And we just accepted it. We normalized it. That's the part that should scare you more than anything. Here's what people don't understand about the CIA. It's an independent government agency. It wasn't even created until 1947. Think about that. This country existed and functioned for over 150 years without it. And now somehow we can't survive without an agency that has a documented history of running illegal experiments on citizens, orchestrating coups in other countries, and, oh yeah, spying on the very Americans it's supposed to protect. MK Ultra wasn't a conspiracy theory. That happened. Domestic surveillance? That happened. The whole point of the CIA was supposed to be gathering foreign intelligence. That's it. Foreign. Not your phone calls, not your text messages, not your emails. But somewhere along the way, the lines got blurred, and now here we are. And yo, the craziest part? They'll spy on you, find something, anything, and then leak it to the media, not to charge you, but just to embarrass you. That's the move. They don't even need a conviction. They just need a headline. The investigation is the punishment. Now think about what happens during wartime. Historically, every single time this country goes to war, freedoms shrink at home. Every time. It's not a coincidence. When emotions are high and people are scared, dissent becomes dangerous. Speaking up becomes a threat to national security. Asking questions becomes working against America. And that's exactly the trap, man. They get you so caught up in the patriotism that you stop asking who's actually benefiting from all this. Who benefits from the surveillance? Who benefits from silencing journalists and critics? It's not you. It's not me. It's not some random citizen walking to Starbucks. This is the kind of stuff that crosses political lines too. Like, this isn't a left thing or a right thing. When people from completely opposite sides of the aisle start agreeing that something is wrong, that should tell you something. That should make your ears perk up. Because those two sides agree on almost nothing. Here's what needs to be said plainly. When the government can read your private conversations and then decide whether or not to use that against you based on whether they like you, that's not freedom. That's leverage. That's control. They're not protecting you. They're managing you. And the wildest part is that it's legal, or at least they've made it legal for themselves. They pass secrecy laws, they create loopholes, and then they hide behind national security every time someone calls them out. And the second you push back, now you're the problem. Now you're the one under investigation. Yo, think about that. You pay taxes, you fund these agencies, you're basically a shareholder in your own government, and your government is using your money to spy on you. That's not a conspiracy, that's documented, that's real.
so too, actually. So let's just assess this logically. They're covering up, the DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes. Very serious crimes by their own description. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
So there are really only two potential explanations that I can think of. Maybe you've got another. The first is that Trump is involved, that, you know, Trump is on the list, that they've got tape of Trump doing something awful. Year of their lives. And so naturally, most of them believe it. So when Charlie Kirk is shot in the throat with a 30-06 on camera, I doubt very many young Americans want to see something like that or actually applaud the death of a man, a father, a husband. but they've been told for their entire lives in schools exactly what Pam Bondi just told them. Well, there's free speech, but then there's also hate speech, and woe to those who engage in it because it's a crime. That's a lie. Talking to people in Iran before the war, they read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living, and I'm not going to stop doing that, nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom were threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy like this. But it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel, and they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So that is an absolutely real thing. But the main reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's, of course, happened to me repeatedly, many times, including in famously 2021, when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin. And the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen and had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state, and they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying on me. This is not a fantasy. It actually happened. They did it again 2 years later. My second attempt to get a Putin interview, I managed to get it anyway, and they've done it since. And so when you get a call from a reporter who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on. None of this, in my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me, so I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are. And you should know that a lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not, including what I'm describing now. But it has an effect. And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent, hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like there are decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV. But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have, granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So you should just know that going forward. Thanks.
Look, I'm not saying burn it all down. There are good, hardworking people inside these agencies just doing their jobs. But there are also people with agendas, grudges, and zero accountability, and they have access to everything about your life. That combination is dangerous, full stop. So what do? We start by not pretending this is normal. Stop shrugging. Start asking questions. Because the moment we all just accept that our government reads our text, that's the moment we officially stop being free. All right, let me know in the comments. Do you think government surveillance of American citizens is ever justified? Or is this straight up unconstitutional no matter what? Drop it below. I want to hear where y'all stand on this. I'm out. Peace.